Originally, I wanted to do a band, an all-girl band that was based on the 70s progressive rock era, because when I was a teenager I would go to a lot of concerts and see bands like Genesis, Pink Floyd, you know, Bowie, people who did large theatrical stage shows. And I thought to myself one day, it was a pity that when I was a teenager there wasn't any girls doing large theatrical stage shows in the area of progressive rock. And so I thought, well, it would be interesting to do a conceptual art band where the girls had died, and they had been in the 70s, but they all died tragically, and so they never got a chance to have this progressive rock band. And so it started really as a band. I made the first film about them and their first performance, and it took off from there, and since then we've done about 10 live shows, and I've put out 3 films, and the girls appear in my collages, and they've really taken on a life of their own. This is the first film where the girls get a chance to speak, but since they really can't speak, they speak through ventriloquist dolls. And the dolls are the likeness of themselves. And they have a little bit of a hard time knowing what to say. And so in the first part of the film you see them doing a stage show where they're doing basic philosophy 101 mixed with guy walks into a bar jokes. And so I like that parallel, or that weird paradox of, you know, heavy thought with dumb jokes. And the jokes are kind of nonsensical and absurdist as well. And so it's really about the girls finding their voice. And originally ventriloquism, which meant from the belly, started as a way of channeling spirits in the ancient days. People would have a doll and they felt that the spirits were talking through them from the belly. So in a way it was very interesting, because I've been pursuing spiritualism as entertainment for several years now, because I find that another interesting paradox, the two extremes. Because one is supposed to be so esoteric and from the heart, and the other is just pure entertainment. And so I think it's fun to combine the two. Originally, no one could see them. They put on a performance, and the only people that could see them were people dressed as animals, or characters in animal costumes. And I think that was a way of me talking about another reality where there is no sight or sound or hearing, but just a free-floating subconscious. I'm always the girl with the red hair, I'm always the lead, and having the doll, it made me feel as if they were my body. It was more of, it wasn't feeling like it was so much about my spirit or my mind. It really felt like a body, and I think that's how the movie fell towards the end, when the girls leave the dolls on the shore like carcasses. Embodying spirits in them. It was very interesting. I hadn't really anticipated the depth, especially because when we're casting them and making them, you know, they all came from a mold and they have sculpty teeth and tongues. It really felt like pure sculpture as an art project, and then it became something else, something more mystical. I always have a couple characters from the film show up in the gallery shows because it makes people feel like they can get to know the characters a bit more. And in films I always use latex masks, and then in installations I make them permanent sculptures and archival by making the masks resin. In the case of the pig, the bunny is still a costume. But I like the idea of showing costumes as sculptures because it sort of brings down the idea of sculpture and brings up the idea of costume, so they're at the same level playing field as